All right, hi everyone. Welcome to the BI project. This is Ayush. So in this video, we are actually reviewing the new card visual that was introduced by Power BI this month. So all of you who are very often using the card visual, the old one in your Power BI reports should be very delighted, because with this new visual, Power BI has actually taken the whole experience of the card visual design to another level, right? So there are a lot of integrations in terms of including the image, editing the labels, the callout values, and also integrating multiple cards within a single visual, right? In this new enhancement or the new update that has been rolled out. I personally use cards a lot, and previously, if any customization or any advancement in the visual design was required, then I had to actually assemble a lot of individual components. For example, Power BI is also, in this blog, which basically talks about this visual, they've also mentioned this. So if you look at this part here, so this is what we had to do previously, right? We'll have a card here. For example, what you have here is a card, right? Then you would include a text box separately to label what this number or the callout value shows. Then if you want to have an image, then you'll put that separately. Then another bar for some visual design, which is also called an accent bar. Then you will have to put that separately as a shape, and then combine everything to create that one custom visual. Now, these kind of visuals are very difficult to work with, right? Because if you want to edit anything, then their layering order is also difficult to deal with. And then it also somewhere affects the report performance, because greater the number of visual elements, greater the time that it will take, the report will take to refresh, right? And overall, it just doesn't give a better user experience, right? So now with this new visual, everything can be actually, condensed into a single visual, right? And the level of flexibility and the control that Power BI has given over the formatting of these visuals is just amazing, right? So in this video, we'll actually go through each and every formatting feature of this visual, and then also create one example to show you, how you can actually leverage different aspects of this new visual in your reports, right? So we'll dive right into Power BI and see this visual in action. Okay, so we are into Power BI now. Before we start, I wanted to show you how to set up this visual, because this visual right now is available as a public preview, which means that it won't appear in your visualizations pane by default, right? So make sure that you have the latest version of Power BI downloaded, and then go to Files, click on Options and Settings, click on Options, right? Here, as you might have also done with other preview features, if you have encountered these previously. Okay, so this dialog pops up, preview features here, and then you'll see a new card visual right here. Sorry. Okay, I'm talking about this new card visual, right? Make sure that this is checked, and once it is checked, you can just simply click OK, right? The moment you do that, you'll actually see the card visual in your visual pane. For example, this is the new card visual. This one is the old one. You might already be aware of this icon. This is the new one, which is nothing but similar to the previous one with an additional symbol on the top left, right? Okay. All right, so this is the visual that I actually created at my end, and this is the one that we actually intend to replicate in this video. As you can see, these are some of the metrics like sales margin percentage and percentage returns. This is the simple global store, global superstore data, which you might have seen in a lot of Tableau or Power BI sample reports. right? Now, as you can see, these are not multiple visuals at play, right? This is a single visual, with the sales summary as a title, a subtitle. There are 3 cards which basically shows 3 different metrics. Each card has an associated image here, as you can see, right? This one margins, and this one for returns. And if you'll just notice, the color of the callout value is also different, right? This is red, this is some purple color, this is different, and accent bars are also there. So if you were to create the same visual using the old card visual, then it would have taken 10 to 15 different elements which you might have grouped together to actually come down to this. But this new visual actually does that all at once. All right, so what I'll do is I go to the working canvas, and let's just review all of the formatting features in this new visualization, and just on the go create a similar visual like this by using the formatting options that we need to create this. All right. Okay, so the first step that I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the new visual, right? In the visual type here, I'm going to select my new card visual, right? Which is this one. When I hover over it, as you can see, it says card new. So I'm just going to select this, right? So I have the card visual selected. Now it's asking me for the data elements. Now, as I showed you previously, there are 3 data elements that we are adding here. One is the sales. So I'm just going to search for sales in my data pane here. I'm going to bring the sales right in the data section here, right? So I have the sales now. The next thing that I want is the profit percentage or the margin percentage, which is a measure that I had already created in the global superstore data set. So I'm just going to drag this again and put this right below sales, right? So make sure that the order that you follow in this section will be the order that is reflected on the visual also, right? For example, if you see, I put sales before profit. So that's why sales appears before profit. Now, if I change the order, let's say if I drag profit over sales, right, then my profit moves to the left, right? Because it's an horizontal orientation, so it moves towards the left, which means profit comes first, right? So I'm just going to switch back to putting the sales before the profit, right? Now, I'm going to drag our third measure value, which is returns, right? So this is the percentage returns that we want as the third metric to be depicted by a card. So I'm just going to drag it and drop it below the profit, right? Now, if you would have seen our previous visual that I showed you, it was a vertical orientation, but this one is a horizontal orientation, right? So that's what will take us to the formatting pane of this new visualization, and it's very flexible. It has loads of formatting options, and you can just you're just limited by your imagination. So whatever you can imagine can actually be done in the formatting pane of this visual, right? So what I'm going to do is I have this visual clicked, and on the right here, I'm going to click on the formatting, right? So these are all the formattings. We'll go and explore each section one by one, but I'll just do some of the basic formattings first, right? So I basically want to change the layout from horizontal to vertical. So I'll just go to layout and change the orientation to vertical, right? Now, as you can see, all my 3 cards, which I've actually placed under the data section, are now aligned in a vertical manner. So I'm just going to reduce the width a bit and increase the height so that I have some numbers visible, right? So this is what I have here. All right, perfect. Now, let's just start from size and style, which is the first section of the formatting, right? It's very general in nature, similar to what you have seen in the other visuals as well. So this has like height, which is the height of this visual, and then width, the horizontal and the vertical coordinates. That is basically the position of this visual. So I'm not just going to change the height or the width or the horizontal vertical position from here. I generally just do it by dragging and dropping. Although if I am designing a pixel perfect kind of a visual where I have the predetermined sizes, then I might just, use these and adjust it, right? The second one is the padding. Padding basically, deals with the space that you have at the edges. For example, this space that you see here, right, between the visual edge and the left edge of the card, right? This small space that you have, this one, right? So this is basically the left padding, right? Similarly, this is the top padding, this small space that you have here, right? So if let's say if I increase the top padding, then you'll see that space getting bigger and bigger, right? For example, you're seeing, this space has become so large. So this is padding just controls the spacings between the border and the edges of the cards. So I'm just going to ignore this for now. Background is basically, you have the card, and then all the area that you see behind the card, which is not a part of the card, but the part of the visual. So all of this area here, right? This area, all of this is the background. So you can just change the background to blue, so you'll get to know what I'm talking about, right? So this is the background of the visual, right? So size and style basically talks about the visual as a whole, right? And changing the formatting of that. Visual border, I actually need a visual border, so I'm just going to switch it on, and I'm going to select the color as black, right? This is fine for me. And then the shadow just puts up a shadow in the background of the visual, giving it a sort of a lifted appearance, but I just don't want that for now, right? I want to keep it simple. All right, so this was about size and style. Now moving on to the title. Title is just amazing, So I'm just going to switch on the title because I need the title. And these are my sales summary. So I'm just going to put up a text as sales summary, right? I'm going to select the heading type as normal. This is the font size that you can change. So as you can see, there are so many fonts that are available as title, although these are available in other visuals as well. So I'm just going to reduce down the title font size a bit by 11, or let's keep it at 12, right? The text color and the background, let's keep it a background of light gray just to make it a bit distinct, right? And I think text color I'm fine, and I will just center align the title. So as you can see, now sales summary comes in the center. The next part we are going to do is the subtitle. Subtitle basically adds a subtext below the title. For example, you may want to further expand on what the title means. For example, this says sales summary, right? So it may just tell you that, this visual summarizes different sales metrics from this date to this date, right? As a supporting text or a subtext to the title, you can add your subtitles. So I'll just add a subtitle because whenever you're looking at sales, the business users are always interested in the time period. I mean, sales can be the previous year sales or it can be the lifetime sales. So without knowing the time period, the sales value doesn't hold any meaning. So I'll just say, sales for the year 2022, right? Again, I'm going to keep the heading type as normal. I'm going to reduce down the size. I think the 8 is the minimum that it'll go to. And I'll change the font to Calibri, keeping it same as the title. And I'm going to center line this as well. Right? Color, I can change. I can perhaps keep it to a gray color so that it doesn't take a lot of cognitive load when the user is looking at it. Right? Yeah, I think this is okay. All right, perfect. So now divider. Divider basically puts up a line between, the area that contains the cards, right? For example, this entire area contains the cards, and this area here at the top, right? This is the title area. So in order to divide the title area with the card area, you have the divider, right? So if I'm going to just switch it on because I need that, I need to sort of distinct them because it somewhere looks like it's overlapping my card area. So see, the moment I switched on the divider, it basically do a very distinct line here. And I can change the color, right? I can keep it to, let's keep it to orange color, right? I'm not following the color scheme. Maybe we can do a dark blue, right? So this is a divider, and then you can have different styles of the lines for the divider. You can have a dashed line, also give you a bit of a break, similarly a dotted line. I'm just going to keep it solid, and you can also change the width, of this line, making it darker and darker as you increase the width. So I'm just going to keep it as 1, right? The spacing is very important. So if you'll see, there are 3 spaces in total. One space is this, right, which is right below your title. So sales summary is the title, and the space right below the sales summary is space 1. The second space is below the subtitle, right? Below the subtitle, but above the divider. And the third space is, between the title area and the chart area, right? So I might want to increase the third space a bit and reduce down the space between, the sales summary and the subtitle, right? The title and the subtitle. So what I'll essentially do here is, if I don't have custom spacing switched on, right, then this vertical spacing will actually increase or decrease these 3 spacings, which I just explained in the proportionate manner, right? So for example, if you'll see, I'll reduce down this spacing. So just reduce down all the 3 spaces, right, proportionately. But I don't want that. I actually want to customize this a bit, because even if I go to 0, then also, the space between the title and the subtitle is still okay, but I want some space between the title area and the card area, because it looks like the card is just touching the title area, right? So what I'll do is, I'll switch on the custom spacing. As the moment you switch it on, then you can actually edit the 3 spaces that I actually explained individually, right? So the space below the title is this space here, right? So this I want to reduce. So I'll just reduce this a bit. As you can see, the space between the title and the subtitle is getting down, right? The space below the subtitle, this is between the divider and, here, between the divider and the subtitle. So I want to increase this a bit, right? This is increased, and then you have the space below the title area, which is the top edge of the card and the divider. I want to increase this as well, just to make it distinct, right? As you can see, now I have it in the form that I want, right? Perfect. All right. So I think these are all the different values or formatting features that you have within the title. So I'm just going to collapse this. Now let's get to the shape. So the shapes of the cards can also be actually changed in this visual. In the old card visual, it was just a rectangle, but here you can have a rounded rectangle or a rectangle or a snipped tab. Snipped tab is like, let me just show you. Rectangle is a simple rectangle. Then you have a rounded rectangle where your corners are rounded, right? And then you can actually change the degree by which you want the corners to be rounded, right? So I'll just reduce this a bit, because I don't want those big rounds. And then you have this, custom style where you can individually change the roundings of, the degree of rounding for each card, right? So I just want to keep it consistent for all the 4 corners. So I'll just don't go to the customize style. I'll just keep it to, to the rounded corners to 10%, right? Similarly, the third one is the snipped tab. Snip tab will basically cut down your corners, right? And it can basically be done separately for the top corners and the bottom corners. For example, bottom corners right now is at 0%, so that's why you don't see any snips in the bottom corners here, right? So if you see, these are pretty normal, but you see the snips at the top corners of each card, right? So what I'm going to do is increase the bottom shapes to 25, then it will be consistent, right? So some users may actually want this shape, but I generally, I don't see myself using this space, this kind of a shape any day. So I'm just going to stick to the rounded rectangles with 10% rounded corners. So this is, I think, okay for me, right? Next, let's go to the callout value. Callout value is basically the big number that you see. That is your actual measure value. The first thing that you see here is the series, right? So a lot of formatting options are available. Some of these options you can apply to the entire series, which means to all the 3 measures that exist in your visual right now, or you can actually customize them individually as well, right? So for example, what I want to do is I want to reduce down the size first, right? Because I feel this is way too large, right? And I also want to change the color. So what I'll do is I'll go to the value and let's just reduce the size to 35, right? So if you'll see, all the 3 callout values actually got reduced. Maybe let's do it 30, right? Okay, color. Color I want separate for each of the cards. So I'm not going to touch the color because my series selected here is all right now. I'll just work on this later. And there are display units. Display units is pretty much the same as you had previously. But one thing, some of you might already know this is the custom display units, right? So the moment you click custom, then you get this format code, right? So you can just tell them the way that you want to format any of these metric values. For example, in the series, let me just select sales, right? So now mind you, I'm just formatting the sales. So in the format, if I, let's say, do dollar, then I need a number, I need the comma separators, and let's say I need 2 decimal places. So I'll just say decimal and hash and hash. So I've just given a general formatting code to them, and they have formatted it in the same way, right? Earlier, this was a big pain to do this because you would have to use the format function and create a separate measure. Format function would change your measure to text, which means that you cannot apply any aggregations on that measure, right? So this means you have to deal with the 2 set of measures, one for the aggregation, which is in the numeric data type, and the second one is sort of a display measure, which is text data type and is formatted in the way that you want it. So it was a big pain previously. Anyway, I'm just going to keep it to auto, not the format, and it will go back to the million. All right, now sales, let's just change the color for sales. Let's just keep it as this color, right? Similarly, you can change the colors for other measures as well. Profit percentage, let's just change it to something orange, right? Similarly, you can change the one for returns to which color? Maybe blue, right? All right, now this is show blank as, which means that if at all this value comes out to be as blank, then what do you want this visual to show by default? So right now there are 2 hyphens by default, but you can change this text to anything. The label is basically this part. Sales is the label for the sales card, profit for the profit, and percentage returns for the percentage returns. You can add any specific label. For example, let's say instead of profit percentage, I need this as margin, right? So I'll just select the series as profit percentage, right? This means now I'm editing or formatting only the profit percentage. Any change that I'll make here will be applicable to only the profit percentage. So I'll go to the label text and I'll type in margin. So if you see, this text basically changes to margin, and let's say margin percentage, right? Because profit percentage sometimes is also called margin percentage. You can just change the positions below, above, you can just change it, change the color, change it dynamically. Most of the things are same as, previous existing visuals. Then you have the spacing. This will work when you have the series selected as all, right? So these spacings basically control the spacing between the callout value and the label. So I'm just going to reduce this a bit. So as you can see, the space between the callout value and labels are also getting down, right? Okay. Layout, you already know, I already explained, it's a vertical alignment. And this is just, how do you want it aligned on the page or on a canvas. Right now it's center aligned or middle aligned, which means that this whole text is somewhere in the middle of this card. I can do it as top aligned, which will move this to top, and then I can move to bottom aligned, which will move it down, right? Let's just keep it as middle. The last one is the card, right? Cards is basically when you are formatting the individual cards. Okay, so let's just start from all. Fill is basically simply, the background color of the individual cards, right? So right now it's white. You can change it to any other color. For example, let's just do it blue. So it goes to blue. If you want to individually change the colors, then you can select the, any of your card from here and then change the color accordingly. For now, I'll keep this as white. You can also put up a background image in case you have one in the background. I don't have a background image for now, but I do want to put up an image just right besides the callout value, right? Which we'll just see how that happens. Then you have a border. Border is the color of this line, the border line of individual cards. This is also very self-explanatory. Then the shadow again is very self-explanatory. Glow is, it's just, does a sort of a color effect right across the border. Maybe we can just keep it. It looks nice, right? And then you can just change the offset. Inside means, it will come from inside, and outside means it will happen on the outer edge, right? The important part that I want to show in this is these two, the image and the accent bar, right? So the image is basically, any explanatory image that you might want to put right besides the callout value, right? For example, let's just switch it on. And I might want to, just to give it a nice visual effect, I might want to just, add an icon kind of a thing here, which basically tells me that, yes, I'm looking at sales, right? So image type means image URL means you can actually embed any online image as well. For now, I have it on my local system. So I'll just, click on browse here. Right, and then so these are the three images that I have. This is for sales, so I'm just going to select the one for sales, right? Okay, I think I did one mistake. I want to remove this. The reason being, I had all selected in the series, and I selected the sales image, which means that it brought the sales image for all the three cards, right? But what I want is I want to individually load. So first I'm going to select the sales and then load the image. So it will bring the image only for the sales card, right? So you select sales here, right? So now it just comes for sales. The size I'm going to reduce down because I really want this very small. Right, so I have 5. Let's see, where does it go? And the position I want it to the left, so I'm going to do it as left. Right, I can see the image here. It looks very small, so I'm just going to increase the size a bit. Let's do 40. Right, 40 is again a bit on the higher side. Let's do 35. Right, I think 35 is still okay. Right, image fit. It's like normal fit and fill. I'll do it as fit, let's say, or fill. It won't really make any difference for now, but let's just keep it as normal, right? So we have this image here, right? just increase the padding. Padding basically is increasing the size, the space between the icon and the callout value on the label, right? Now, similarly, we are going to load the images for the others as well. So I'm going to select the profit series and then go to the browse image, right? And I'll just keep the size and everything as same. So I'll just select profit. Here the position should be left and the size should be 35, right? So this is the margin percentage. And similarly, I'm going to do it for returns, right? For returns, I'm going to go to the image, browse the image, select returns as the image, this one, change the position to left, and again, change the size to 35, keeping it the same as the other two, right? There you go, right? Now I think this looks pretty nice. Like, I wouldn't have imagined any visual to look like this in Power BI, especially the ones that are related to the cards, because cards is the, used to be one visual with the minimum formatting options, right? Okay, so we're going to look at the last aspect of this. I'm going to switch the series back to all. And the last aspect of the card section is the accent bar. Accent bar is that shape that visually enhances your visual. The similar to the one that I showed you in Power BI blog, that small shape on the left, right? So let's just see the accent bar in action. So I'm just going to switch it on. So as you can see, the moment I switched on, you guys got this small black bar on the left edge, right? So this is the accent bar. Instead of the left edge, I'm going to do on the top edge. So I'm going to change the position from left to top, right? So there you go, you have it here. You can increase the width of it. I'm going to increase the width a bit, right? I think this is enough, and I'm going to change the color. Black doesn't look good here. Maybe blue, right? Blue is still fine. Or maybe I want to, let's just do it separately for all the series. So for sales, I'm going to keep it as maybe orange, or not. If not orange, let's just match the callout value color, right? I just keep it like this. For profit, I'll do it as orange, this one. And for our third one, I lost it. Okay, so the third percentage returns, I think we'll just keep it as blue, which is the color of the callout value, right? So this right here is called the accent value, right? Accent bar, sorry. So as you can see, the visual is ready. It's a really nice looking visual, a great addition by Power BI team. Really enhancing the visual experience, and I'm sure moving forward the same kind of visual enhancements will continue to come in for the other visuals as well. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.